What's up, y'all? AJ here, and we're back with some sports talk. For once, it's not Broncos talk. I know we've been getting a lot of that. And of course, there will still be that, but that's something I'll work on here in a little bit. And we'll probably even get some NBA talk. I know I've been needing to get back on that. It's just been a little tricky, but I'm not going to make any more excuses, and there's definitely plenty of material for me to work with there. But on that note, we're going to focus on material regarding the NFL coaching carousel, or at least the latest movements with that. Starting with new Titans head coach Robert Sala, where I feel like this has got to be quite, quite a damn good fit for not only Sala, but the Titans themselves. Cam Ward, I think he's going to work really well with Sala, unlike an Aaron Rodgers. Well, yeah, we'll just let that be what it is. That's whatever at this point. But what I will say that he does benefit from, along with not having to deal with Aaron Rodgers, is the fact that he's not also dealing with the circus that is the New York sports media. And if we're being perfectly honest, I feel like that probably is what made that not so good of a fit for him there. Although really it was Aaron Rodgers that ended up ruining that for him. And to be perfectly honest, I also have to say that if not for Aaron Rodgers, he'd probably still be the head coach of the New York Jets. So you actually have him going in a pretty decent enough direction. So now we're going to see what he does with the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward, Jeffrey Simmons, and others. I got to imagine wide receivers definitely got to be on the table as far as what they look at, not only in free agency, but in the NFL draft as well. They don't really have a big name. They had Calvin Ridley there, and I don't know if I necessarily see him as a number one receiver, but he's certainly a good veteran, and he's going to help out whoever winds up coming in the long run. But for me, again, I can't say it enough. This has got to be as hand in glove as it possibly can get because you just got all the necessary pieces in place. And the Titans aren't necessarily a bad team. They just ended up having a bad season under, I believe it was, trying to think of the name, but I swear, Brian Callahan, that's who it was. And that one's a little surprising to me because Brian Callahan has had some coaching success. I don't know about as a head coach, but certainly didn't work out in this situation. I think with Robert Sala, that's going to be entirely different. So really interesting stuff to watch out there. Speaking of interesting things to watch, especially in the AFC neck of the woods, AFC West neck of the woods, I should say. Mike McDaniel is now the new offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers, and this one I gotta find fascinating, not only because of it being a division rival, but we're talking John Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel working together with Justin Herbert. Wow, like, if that doesn't take the Chargers a bit more over the top as far as where they've gotten in recent years, I'm not really sure what will, because I think we've seen the things that Mike McDaniel has actually been able to accomplish, not only with the Miami Dolphins when they actually were successful, but of course his time with the San Francisco 49ers, which got him the Dolphins job in the first place. And for me, I feel as if the best thing about this is that it's not too big of a step for McDaniel. He could have certainly ended up getting a head coaching job either with teams like the Steelers, the Ravens, or maybe even the Buffalo Bills for that matter. Although I feel like Brian Daboll, maybe even Joe Brady, are probably going to be the more likely candidates to take that, unless something else comes up that we haven't really talked about. But either way, for me, I'm actually looking forward to this, even as a Broncos fan. Shout out to my boy Darren, and it's actually going to be really, really interesting to watch. The only question at this point is how do they how do they overcome the injury issues that have befallen the Chargers throughout the year? Of course, guys like um, Najee Harris, Other running back Amari and Hampton, offensive lineman Joe Alt, and I want to say Evans is the other tackle. I probably am mistaken that. But of course, they dealt with injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they just were snake bitten throughout the year. And while I think McDaniel is going to work some pretty nice wonders for the Chargers, it's a matter of can they stay healthy. And until we see that, it's going to be hard to imagine the Chargers doing any better than what they have. But they're definitely a capable group, and I think if nothing else, Mike McDaniel is definitely going to help with that. But again, just the notion of him teaming up with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, I'm very intrigued by this. I just can't wait until the new season comes up. Even though we're still in the playoffs and we got some business to handle here out in Broncos country, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. But for now, we're going to go into the main topic. And of course, they had the press conference earlier this morning. The hiring of Packers front office personnel, John Eric Sullivan, and of course, new Dolphins head coach, the former defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, Jeff Haley, excuse me. I'm really intrigued by this too because again, both guys are coming from Green Bay. Sullivan actually having been originally the training camp uh, personnel or was training camp personnel when he started with the Packers, and then of course wound up being the representative at the national scouting representative for the Packers at the NFL Combine, and has been known to be the right hand man to GM Brian. I'm not even going to try to butcher his name, but he was the right hand man to the Packers GM, and going to be nice to see both of these guys getting promotions and seeing what they're capable of, see where they pick up from where the aforementioned Mike McDaniel left off. And really, the biggest question for me is what's going to happen with that quarterback situation. I don't know that they're necessarily going to stick with Tua Tagovailoa. In fact, I kind of feel like he's kind of living on borrowed time out in Miami at this point, especially with all the concussion issues. And of course, Quinn Ewers is pretty much in line to be the future QB of the Miami Dolphins. And I didn't really see a lot of what Ewers did. They actually were a little bit better towards the end of the season. I'm not going to say how much so, because of course the wins and losses don't necessarily reflect that. But I'm actually looking forward to what they do with this, and really the coordinators that they bring with them, or at least bring into the fold out in South Beach. And to be perfectly honest, they are also in line for an early draft pick as well. I mean, do they go quarterback? It's going to be hard to imagine. I mean, of course, you've got obviously Fernando Mendoza, the now national champion, of course, Heisman Trophy winner of 2025. Obviously, he's going to be likely going to the Raiders, but do they go after Ty Simpson in Miami? It's going to be really interesting to watch, and I think this combo is going to be pretty formidable one out in Miami. I definitely could see them having some improvement with everything that took place out there under Mike McDaniel. But we'll find out. It's real early to say that as of now. But of course, they had the press conference this morning, talked about Mike McDaniel and everything that went into his termination, which of course Sullivan was quick to point out that was before he got there. And that was very much an ownership decision, especially because he's being brought in as the new general manager along with the new head coach. But yeah, definitely some very interesting things to see going into next season with the coaching carousel. And if I recall, that still leaves 6 more openings to fill, which we're going to look forward to how all of that works out. I mean, there's obviously the Steelers, the Bills, the Ravens, amongst so many others. Yeah, we're going to be keeping our eyes on that, and I'll be back with more as far as the coaching carousel is concerned. But let me know what you think about these moves. What do you look forward to regarding the carousel? Either way, definitely hit that like, share, and subscribe down below if you enjoy the content. And of course, hit that notification bell. And with that in mind, this has been your time with A and J. I appreciate you spending it with me.